went to jail, can you tell the audience what happened? What led you to go into prison?
Yeah. First of all, like just to piggyback on what you said. Yeah, I believe that sometimes you got to go through hell to get to heaven. You know, I was a young dude in the streets of Brooklyn. What they call it at risk youth. You know, I was in and out of trouble very early on, and by the time I was 17, I caught a drug-related kidnapping and went to prison. I had a 5 to 15, which in New York you can do 5 years, and you know if you was chilling in jail or whatever, and would have been out earlier. But you know I was getting caught up in the life in prison, wound up doing time.
So now you went upstate. What state pen was you at?
I was in a lot. I was in well, first I went to Elmira. From Elmira I went to Coxsackie. I went to Southport. Southport is a box. Southport, Clinton back to Southport, box again. Southport to Elmira again, Elmira to a medium. These was all maxes first, and then I went to Ogdensburg, Watertown to Comstock. No, I went to another S Block box. Comstock, Auburn. Over 10 different prisons though.
Dang.
Yeah.
Now you said you were 17 catching this case, right?
Yeah.
What do you think was the I don't want to say the motive, or what do you think led you to living that lifestyle to where you ended up catching a case like that?
Well, I was committed. I was committed to fully being what I thought I was. I was in it. I was with it. I think that I didn't have no misunderstandings about my criminality. I felt like I didn't see myself being anything other than being in the street. I didn't see myself. I didn't see no other way out. I hadn't even got to that space yet. Whereas being something different, being something productive was even a thing. I didn't find music until I was in prison. I didn't never rap until I was there. So I think I had fully committed to, this world, this life, because I feel like it felt natural almost. We grew up in environments where it's like, we robbing and stealing, we selling drugs, and it's like because we supposed to, right? It almost feels like this is the thing to do. Everybody we know been to prison before or is been to jail in some kind of form or fashion. So it almost feels like this is a part of what goes on because this is the world that we know. And when you don't know anything other than that world, than that 10-block radius, then that is, a reflection of your character. So I was way too young to have gotten to the point that I was willing to see something different. So yeah, my commitment to being, a criminal or being in that lifestyle is what led me there.
So now, just to rewind a little bit, because I know you said you were 17 catching this case. You always lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
All right. So was your household a household? Because a lot of times you hear like a lot of kids, right? They end up in the prison systems, and it's because of the broken home. Right. Was that your home? Was your home did it have any structure, or was it like you out in the street? You spilled out to the streets in the early at a young age.
That's a good question. Very early on, see, I grew up in a house that had both my parents, right? But what happened when that crack wave hit, and we remember how that hit, when it took parents, aunts, uncles, fathers, mothers. When that first wave hit, my father was in that wave. So I watched him go from being a hard-working, solid guy to being one of those people in the street. I watched my mother have to deal with that and pick up her own vices. So now I'm venturing off into the street, naturally. because this is not the era when we stayed home, right? We wasn't home on social media playing games and stuff like that. You know, everybody was outside. Like we was outside. I don't care if you was from Philly, you was from Brooklyn. You was outside in these days. And I think a natural progression to criminality is what happens. I think you go from, you know, the curiousness, you know, based out of your hunger, right? And then it turns into, you know, a lifestyle.
Wow. And you know, as a young kid, we all know, like you said, the crack era, because I'm pretty sure I was affected by it. I know he was affected by it. Now, did you have any siblings, like, or you the
me
only
and my brother.
Oh, it's only two of y'all.
Yeah, it was two of us.
Older brother, younger brother?
No, younger, right under me. Yeah.
Did it affect him in the same way?
Absolutely. We both was right in the middle of it. Same way.
Wow. Because I got a brother as well, and like, you know, when the crack era hit with my family, it affected my mother more than my father. So it was like vice versa. So we ended up, you know, after a certain time spilling out into the streets as well. Now, as far as your brother goes, you know, being in the streets, and both y'all being in the streets, I'm assuming that as an older brother, you had some type of, you know, you wanted to protect your brother out there.
Yeah, I did at first.
What was at first? All right, elaborate. Why you say at first?
It wasn't working. It wasn't working, man. You know, I think in those days we didn't have outlets, and it's like, hey, man, go home, man. I don't want you hanging with me. I don't want you around doing what I'm doing. Only for him to probably go do it with
somebody else.
You see what I'm saying? So those trappings was there. You know, it's not, you know, I hear people, you know, we grew up in a time and say, oh, just say no. Just do the right thing. Just go to school.
It's easy to say that.
Right. Very easy to say that, especially when you don't have the direction that you need, you know. So me and my sibling, yeah, we pretty much got the same story. We was, you know, we started to venture off into the street very early on, in getting into trouble, which caused more trouble. You know, and watching my mother have to, you know, come down and pick us up from the precinct and come to Spofford to visit us, or go to the group home and whatever, the division for youth upstate, like all of these things and stuff, you know, going through, and then you saying to yourself, man, I ain't doing this no more, man. You know, you growing up because you still trying to find yourself. I went to prison when I was not even as tall as I am today. Didn't even have facial hairs, right? You still growing, right? And I think going at that starting that life at that early age, you definitely mentally are not even mature enough to understand some of the things that you really doing.
Let me ask you this, because, you know, we all have different things, right? Like we see, like, that may gravitate you towards something. Like if you see a woman and she's beautiful and she's your type, you might speak to her. Same thing with the streets. What was it that was sexy about the streets, if I'm using that term right? What was it about the streets that kind of made you gravitate toward? What was it that you saw that said, like I want that, or I need that? Because we all got different things, but what was it for you that said, I got to go out here and go, I want to go out here and go do this?
I think I was attracted to what I thought was the word I want to go around. I don't want to say the word gangster. I want to say something like, I was attracted to what I saw in certain dudes that had a lot of respect, right? And the respect that they had, you know, always delved around some sort of violence, right? They was always known to bust their gun or, you know, get money, but, you know, busting their gun was something that was a lot more exciting for me, because, you know, we knew a lot of guys that, you know, had got money or you know, tried to get money, but didn't have the same type of respect as it did somebody that you knew that was willing to go to places that he wanted, you know what I mean? When it came to him pulling out his pistol, he was, you know, so I was attracted to that life. It was very exciting for me to watch guys like that.